Hi and welcome back to my White Christmas tutorial series. Today I'm presenting the project number 21 and it's going to be a pop-up card. It looks like a clean and simple card on the outside, but when you open it up, you can find a cute little scene inside. I've made this card to participate to Winter Coffee Lovers blog hop, so make sure to visit my blog to find out more about this event. Now let's get started with the video and I will show you how to make this card step by step. To make a card base, I'm starting with 4 1/4 by 11 piece of white cardstock, and I'm not scoring it in the middle, I'm just making a little mark to know exactly where the middle is. Then I'm placing this mark exactly between the two score marks on the board, and I'm scoring at both sides of this mark. You can see that the mark is exactly in the middle between the two lines. Then I'm going to fold along both crease lines, and this way I have created a double fold. It's 1/8 of an inch deep, and it's going to allow me to add a bit more bulk inside the card. I'm going to decorate the front of the card first, so I'll be using my favorite designer Woodgrain stamp by Hero Arts. I'm covering it up with Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide ink, and I'm placing my card on top, pressing it down, and this pattern is going to cover up the entire card front. The idea here is to add some layers of paper, so I'm taking a white strip of vellum first and I'm tearing off the edges. Then I'm also going to add a paper doily, so I'm applying just a few drops of liquid glue. I'm placing it onto my card front, and then I'm going to trim off the excess. Then I have used SUNBURST striped circle die by Memory Box to create this die cut. I think that this die is really useful if you want to use a really small image and make it a focal point on your card. By placing this die cut behind the image, you will add all the necessary size and bulk to this image. You'll see later what I mean. So I have stuck the die cut on top of the vellum, then I have applied some adhesive only behind the die cut, and I'm sticking it on top of the card front. I'm also removing the excess vellum. My focal image is going to be this coffee cup from Coffee Charms die set by Karen Burniston. I'm just going to trim off this little charm loop from the top because I'm not going to need it for this particular project. Then I'm going to assemble this coffee cup by sticking down all the die cuts using some liquid glue. And as always, all the tools and supplies that I'm using will be listed on my blog as well as in the description. I'm using white and light gray cardstocks, and I'm also using some silver mirror cardstock for the smaller details and accents. To create a sentiment, I'll be using Sugar Script Joy die by Birch Press Design. I've die cut the background out of light gray cardstock and the letters themselves out of silver mirror cardstock. And now I'm sticking them down. I'm also going to add just a few silver star sequins to finish off the card. I'm going to mount the little cup later on when I'm finished with the inside of the card. The idea here is that the inside of the card is going to be a table surface. So I've die cut two panels out of light gray cardstock. They are just a little bit smaller than the card. And I'm going to use the same die to create the woodgrain pattern. This time I'm going to do some heat embossing, so I have covered up the stamp with Versamark ink, and now I'm going to apply some white embossing powder. This one is Opaque Bright White by Wow. Then of course I'll be heat setting the powder, and then I'm going to create the second panel exactly the same way. Next I'm going to attach both panels on the inside of the card. So I have applied some double-sided adhesive and I'm placing the panels right next to the fold. It's important not to overlap the fold, otherwise the card will be impossible to close. This is what the project looks like at the moment, and now I'm going to create my focal image, which is going to be this pop-up coffee cup by Karen Burniston. I've die cut the cup out of vellum and I used thin white paper for the rest of the elements. I would suggest to use medium to thin weight paper for this image because it's going to be bent, not only folded. Assembling the cup is pretty simple. You just have to fold it along the crease lines, and then you have to stick down that flap at the side of the cup. Then I'm going to attach a lid and a coffee sleeve, and I'm applying the glue only at the sides, not at the entire die cut, again to make it easier to bend. I simply love how clever this design is. Those vertical cuts are not just mimicking the corrugated texture, but they also make this cup easier to bend. Next, I'm folding out the flaps at the bottom of the cup, and I'm pushing them through the slits on this coaster die cut, just like that. This way they're going to be hidden underneath. So this is what the cup should look like at the moment. Now I'm applying some double-sided tape at the wrong side of the coasters, and I'm also adding some liquid glue because somehow I always feel that the tape adhesive is not enough. Then I'm aligning the edge of the coasters, the inner edge, with the edges of the panels and sticking them down. To create the sentiment, I'll be using two stamp sets by Poppy Stamps. One is to create the frame and another one is for the sentiment itself. And I'm going to silver emboss this sentiment, Celebrate the Season, on a piece of vellum. Again, I'm going to stack a few elements to create a little tabletop scene. The first element to attach is going to be this printed acetate doily. The doily itself is from one of Spellbinder's card kits. I'm attaching it using a few drops of glossy accents. Then I'm going to add my sentiments on top of it. I'm tearing off all the excess vellum to make this vellum piece fit into my card. I'm also creating little tears and notches and bending out the edges for a more distressed look. Once I'm finished with that, I'm going to attach this piece as well. Again, I'm using just some teeny tiny drops of glossy accents. I'm applying them at the wrong side, only behind the heat embossing, to make the adhesive invisible, and I think it worked. This coffee stir stick is also the part of the die set. I have stacked 3 die cuts to create it, and I'm also adding a tiny silver heart on top, and then I'm adding this stick to my project as well. I never thought of that before, but those stir sticks look so much like magic sticks. I have created some snowflakes using the dies by Poppy Stamps, and I've die cut the backgrounds out of black and the snowflakes themselves out of silver. Those little black elements are going to add all the necessary contrast that was missing in the card. Then I have folded a piece of white paper in half, and I have used an old paper die to create those torn edges. And now I'm going to stick this little card inside my big card as well. This way I can add a personal message inside, and it's not going to be exposed if you want to show the card to someone else. As a last finishing touch, I'm going to add the 2 delicate silver pine needle branches. This die is also by Poppy Stamps. I'm just sticking the branches down right by the cup, and that finishes the inside of the card. And now it's time to add the little cup to the front of the card, so I have applied some foam squares at the wrong side, and I'm sticking it down just like that. So this is what the finished project looks like. I would also like to mention that the pop-up coffee cup die creates two notches at the back of the cup, so you can insert a gift card into. This way, this card can also work as a gift card holder. I really hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out the previous videos of the series. I wish you all a wonderful day, and I hope to see you back for the project number 22.